Welcome to video 3. We've given our introductions and now we're going to start looking at the different tabs of the intervention guide. In this video, we're going to look at the summary tab. Before we dive into this video, we do recommend that you have a look at the template for the intervention guide, which is downloadable on the page you're watching this on, and this will help you to follow along. Let's start by asking why complete a summary tab? And I think there are 3 reasons. Firstly, it helps you to capture some of the basic data about the intervention. What's it called? Who manages it? When does it start and finish? All of this can just be dumped in the summary tab. Second, it explains the context and justification of the intervention. Why are you doing it? What's the basic concept? And how do you take key issues like gender into account? And finally, alignment. It just makes sure that internal and external stakeholders are on the same page regarding the intervention objectives and aims. So open the Excel spreadsheet and look at the first tab, the summary tab. There are quite a lot of questions, but you can split them into 4 main sections. The first is really easy. This is the basic data about the intervention. Things like the title, who manages it, how much does it cost, and so on. Obviously, you can add things to this if there's more basic information you want to keep, or you can take stuff away if there's information which is already captured and you don't think needs to be duplicated here. Secondly, the summary impact, and this is just a documentation of what your actual results are and what your projected results are against some key indicators. You can change the indicators to fit with whatever your program is doing, and we're going to talk a bit more about this in a later section on calculations, so I won't go into it now. There's also a section on kind of intervention design, and this is a bit more complex. I've kind of provided a simple structure which works for me, but many programs will have different structures or different ways of explaining what they're doing. The important thing to note is that you're just trying to explain your intervention, to say, how does it fit into a broader program context? How is what you are doing justified by the information you have? A simple way to do this is to start by saying what the problem is that you're trying to address, and a simple text box will explain this. Who are you working with to explain this problem? In other words, who are your key partners? And how will this work with partners address this problem? Often this is something like, what is the business model you are supporting, or what is the innovation you are trying out? But how you phrase this depends on your project. Next, we look at other issues. You can of course include any that are important for your program, but in this template, we include 3 which are required by the DCED standard. Firstly, displacement. Displacement is the idea that if you support one business, others might lose out. For example, you support one group of farmers to increase their income, but they might simply sell more at the expense of another group of farmers down the road. And you need to say why you think that won't happen. It's very difficult to prove or monitor throughout implementation, but at least it's important that you think about it in advance. Secondly, gender. Almost all programs have some kind of focus on gendered results, and so you need to say whether you think you will have a positive or a negative impact on women and men separately, or if you think the impact will be exactly the same, and why this is. And this sets you up slightly for monitoring it throughout. Thirdly, assumptions. Every project rests on a number of important assumptions about how different stakeholders will react and how things will change. And there's just a space to outline any really key assumptions here. Finally, there's a space in the intervention guide to record changes. And it's a very simple table. It just says what changed, when did you change. Some programs also say, why did you make that change? And this just demonstrates that you are using and regularly updating the intervention guide. So that is it for the summary tab. In the next few lectures, we'll go into the more complex tabs for results chains and the measurement plans.